Why do people still want to try to pursue the music business? I sat down with international recording artist Matt U. Johnson, and we talk about the ins and outs of his career and what has affected him and how he's going to move forward in the future. Hope everybody's doing well. I have a guest in studio today, and his name is Matt U. Johnson. And he is part of our TikTok live agency. And we're excited to have him here in the studios. And he's a national recording artist. And we're going to put some music together and see what we can do with BPT, Bang Productions, and Matt U. Johnson. Welcome to the show, Matt.
It's good to be here, man. How you doing, Mr. Kozma?
Mr. Kozma. He's been calling me Mr. Kozma all week. I'm like, he's trying to make me feel old, I guess.
Nah, man, nah.
Yeah. Yep. Matt's been in the entertainment game for a little while, and we've been trying to put some stuff together, going to record some music, and he's had some experiences. And what do you think has been the issues for you to this point in your career?
As an independent recording artist, there's a lot of ups and downs when it comes to putting yourself out there, the marketing, just the whole marketing, the behind the scenes of the vibes. It's not always the creative portion of it. It's behind the scenes, and it's very, very instrumental, and it's very key to an artist's career that you have the right marketing and the right team and the right situation behind you. And I think I've been lacking in those areas somewhat. Sometimes I find the right situations with PR and I find the right situations with certain management, but it kind of falls short. They'll say they have some kind of vibes going and they'll have things for you. And then, later down the line, you find out, it falls short. It's not really the whole vibe. So, a lot of artists go through that. I'm not special. It's not special to me. So I feel that's what I've been, facing as struggles in my career.
When you say struggles, I mean, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. And if you're out there and want to be an artist, I mean, I think you should listen to this because, there's things that artists think they should do. I think there's a lot of things that are misleading and take people down the wrong road, if you will, that can be costly to your career. How do you describe your art? How do you describe your singing? Where does it come from? Where does this passion come from?
It comes from growing up in New York City, being passionate about music, arts, creative stuff. I grew up with the age of MTV. Being in New York, you go to different concerts. There's a lot of different cultural values. There's hip hop, there's pop, there's R&B. And, being of Caribbean background, there's also that genre there, the Caribbean reggae and all that. It's just an eclectic vibe. And I feel that's who I am as a person. I think I'm an eclectic person and an eclectic individual. So that's who I see myself as, an eclectic person.
When you talk to Matt, I mean, Matt is, his mom is Jamaican.
Yeah.
Dad is
American. From Manhattan. Yeah.
From Manhattan.
Yeah.
And you got a little bit of island flavor going on. I mean,
I'm half Jamaican, You done know, big up, bless up.
Where does that vibe come from?
It comes from my mom's side, but my dad was entrenched in that, vibe as well. That's why he married my mom, obviously. And that's where it comes. It comes from my roots. It's half of my roots, but I'm also African American. So I have that side, being raised in Staten Island, New York, the 5 boroughs of New York City. And that makes me who I am because I got the best of both worlds. I got the Caribbean side and I got the African American side, being raised in the 5 boroughs of New York City.
On this journey so far, when you're out there and you're trying to make it and not giving up, why have you not given up?
I've always had this passion and this goal and dream to be a big singer, a big entertainer since I was 13 years old. And it's just, a passion inside of me that I have. And I've always looked up to other people such as Bob Marley, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Usher. There's a lot of influences, and a lot of new influences as well. Like, you know, I look up to people like Dave Matthews, you know, Rob Thomas, and growing up in New York City, being able to go to all these concerts that they have there, that influenced me as well.
Now, your mom and dad
Yeah.
have both been in the medical game
Yeah.
during their lives. Do they say, hey, Matt, go get a real job?
I mean, me being the youngest child, I feel they supported my dreams and they've always been there for me. And I've had other jobs before, you know, being a person out of like New York City, you know, you can't just not have no job. You gotta live somehow. My first job was a Family Dollar job. And then I went on from that to be a cold caller for Bresic and Young, like a stockbroking kind of job. And I did PT, physical therapy assistant jobs, and clerical jobs, being like a clerk for a doctor's office and stuff. So while chasing my dreams and my passion, you know, I had those like other jobs, those side jobs as well.
So what's going through your head while you're working a job that you don't like?
Man, I'm like, yo, when is this job going to be over so I can hit the studio, you know, or go to Fort Greene? Because at the time I was in LIU after high school, after St. Peter's Boys. And I would go to Fort Greene, and I was in a entertainment company called Collateral Entertainment. And they kind of cultivated me to be in my craft, you know, working with rappers, working with other singers, producers, what have you. So I always had something to look forward to, you know.
Well, what was your experience with that?
When I was dealing with Collateral Entertainment, shout out to Arthur Ortiz. He was from Dallas, Texas. He moved to Brooklyn, Fort Greene area. You know, he had mostly all rappers there, and I was the only singer, so I would be the hook guy. So I would be the guy doing all the hooks, writing all the hooks for the rappers. So, you know, that kind of entrenched me in the hip-hop world as well.
I mean, when I saw you, I didn't know. I knew you had some talent.
Yeah.
I knew you had some talent, but I wasn't completely sure, right, until you showed up.
Okay.
And after I could be around you and feel you, you know, I realized you got more talent than you know what to do with. Why do you think someone in the industry hasn't recognized that yet?
It's a tough industry. So if you're not at a certain level, or they don't feel that you're like huge enough, or you haven't reached a certain plateau, sometimes you can be overlooked, or you're just not there to the point where like an A-lister or a person that's on a major label sees the potential at that time. It doesn't mean that they're not seeing your talent or that you're not good enough. You just might not be there in their taste, in their eyes.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with their eyes type of thing. I mean, it's I think that sometimes the approach, right? The approach is, I think in mainstream, they want to lay up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, do you think you were hesitant in any way about how you delivered your singing?
No, I mean, a lot of people, they like my singing. They like the eclectic vibes. They like the crossover vibes that I brought to the table. But it's like this industry, you know, sometimes it's payola. Sometimes it's who you know. It's the network that you're in. And there's a lot of different aspects. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough or that you're not, you know, the criteria that they're looking for. It just happens to mean that maybe you're not in the right crew or the right people or the right crowd. It's just like in any other industry, you know, it's who you know.
What would you do different personally?
Yeah.
Forget everybody else. Like what would, after your experiences, what would Matt do to improve himself?
At this point, from what I've learned, I would just tighten up on my social media because we're in the social media age. I would tighten up on my network. I would tighten up on where I'm at because I physically moved to a place where it wasn't really great for my genre, my lane of music. So I had to actually get out of that environment and go to other places like Toronto, back to New York, LA, England. I wouldn't have moved to the place I am in right now. That would be my first thing I do different.
What's the hindrance of the location?
I mean, I live in a place where it's in its own world. It's not very diverse. There's not a lot of opportunities for select genres of music. And if there is, it's like little to none. But I was fortunate enough to be able to break through the noise there and get onto some of the major festivals there, such as Minapalooza and other big festivals there, and open up for the Cataracts and different things, and kind of fuse my image and my sound into those movements that they were doing at those particular times.
Now, you're a young guy.
Yep.
And there's a different language out there.
Yeah.
There's a different language. Do you think that creates some apprehension, right, with this different language? Do you think this whole how I look, what I sound like, am I chill, creates a lot of questions? Does this kind of make some things confusing to like find your lane?
I mean, at times, like the lane we're in and the atmosphere, I should say, the atmosphere where we're in right now in the social media world, you don't really have to fit the mold, because there's people that don't have a great image. There's people that are big, fat, or, not like perfect model shape, that they're making it. They're going. It's all about who they know, the marketing, the budgeting they have behind them, and their team and their work ethic. Obviously, you have to have the work ethic. But if you have all of those, you're missing something. Sometimes that can be a hindrance. So you got to figure that hindrance out, just like everything else, and that's what I'm trying to figure out in certain ways.
What goes through your head through that process? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you thinking about yourself?
I'm just feeling like, what could I do differently? What could I have done differently to put me at a bigger spot in my career lane? And that's what kind of goes through my head. And I'm always thinking every day, okay, who could I network with? Where could I go that might be a better market than I'm in currently? Like I've been saying before, I've been going to Toronto a lot. I've been going back to New York City, working with other podcasts and other creatives and other influencers and what have you. Just trying to network and broaden my horizons, and that's what you think about every day. How can you broaden your horizon?
And what do you think your biggest disappointment is?
Staying in an area for so long, just trying that area, trying to see if it would work, and wasting the time and energy there when I could have left sooner than later. If you catch my drift,
When you say sooner and later, I mean you're in El Paso, Texas.
Correct.
Yeah. What's wrong with El Paso, Texas?
I mean, El Paso, Texas is a nice place to live, but for creatives, I think there's a hindrance in opportunity, I should say, in El Paso. And sometimes once you get the opportunity that they have there, once it's done, you have to move on. You have to, figure out somewhere else to go. You got to look at your demographics. You got to look at who's, vibing with you online, your analytics and what have you, or you just have to network more to see where you should go or where the Most High takes you.
You did a song with Snoop,
correct, and Carl Wolf.
And Carl Wolf. What would you do different with that song?
I wish I had more of a team built up at that time. I was doing everything basically by myself. I did have a brand manager that was helping me with like the online presence a little bit, but not the social media side of the online presence. Maybe just like web, putting the distribution channels in certain places so people could find it easier. I just wish I had a larger team and a team that had more wider connections so that I could have gotten more radio play, that I could have gotten more positions and streams, playlists. I did okay. I got 500,000 streams on that, but it was during the pandemic as well, and I didn't have a video with Snoop or Carl because of certain limitations with budget and what have you, and then also the limitations with the pandemic going on because it was 2021. Things I wish I could have done that song at a different period of time so that we had more options. Mm-hmm. So I felt I was a little bit hindered in that way, in that sense.
I mean, if you're a young kid out there and you want to try the music industry,
yeah.
I mean, what would you suggest?
I would suggest getting the right audience for your craft, staying true to who you are, finding the right team to build, because the teamwork makes the dream work. You can't do everything yourself because it's just too hard out there right now, unless you just blow up on social media. There's those cases as well, but that comes a dime. It doesn't happen to everybody. So some of us have to put in that extra work, get past that plateau to get noticed. So I mean, I would say build your team. Maybe like build a bigger budget if you can't get the right team, so you get to the right people and the right platforms to push out your work. Know the right platforms, know the right distribution channels, because there's a lot of distributions that might not be the best fit for your music or for your presence as a brand. And remember, you're a brand. You're not just like a musician. You're a brand, so you can do more than just music. You can get your stuff into films. There's so many different avenues that I didn't know or have access to at the time, during that particular song, the Pond Fire song.
Let's say you went viral and you got an opportunity. How would you direct your career? What would you want to do if you did get the opportunity, if you did go viral, you had the right position? What is your message? What do you want to do for the world?
If I had the opportunity to go viral and to get my message out there, which is a feel-good, positive energy message, that's what my vibe is musically and as a person, I would go out there, helping others that are less fortunate. I would actually mentor other artists like myself that actually maybe didn't have certain chances to go, or the know-how to go to that next point, and, show them how to do that, because I feel that's very important. And I think that a lot of people need mentors and they need guidance. And then people are trying to do it like all themselves, and they can't really do it all themselves, So I would try to do something like that, create an organization like that, go out there in the world to help other artists succeed, just like I want to succeed,
Well, being a young guy in this world, I mean, what is, we've had some deep conversations, and, what hits home for you? I mean, what are you thinking about? Like, what are you thinking your end goal is?
My end goal is just to be successful and to help others, help my family, build upon, my legacy as an artist, and to be successful in what I'm doing as far as being a singer and an entertainer, so that I leave a legacy behind that people could be, admirable of or proud of. That's what a lot of people want to do with their music. But, it takes time and it takes work and it takes effort.
And Matt's a really nice guy. He's a really, really, really nice guy. I'm like, why is this guy? He's like, I need to rough him up a little bit. Because a lot of people don't know how to judge me. I think the niceness will go a long way. It is a cutthroat business, and there's only so many players in the game.
Yeah.
And it's consistency, numbers.
It's just a lot of effort. And it's like I said, it's team, it's people that believe in you. And don't get me wrong, I'm a very good person and I'm a very nice person to get along with. But like the music industry has taught me a lot of lessons. So I know how to turn it on and turn it off, bro. Like, I don't let people run all over me and just take steps with me. But I'm like, I know how to present myself, and I know how to keep it classy when it needs to be kept classy, and I know how to, get rough if I need to get rough. There's no need to be negative and have a nasty vibe if it's uncalled for. That's just the type of person I am, and that's how I was raised. So,
Because mom and dad are been very supportive, what are they saying to you at this point in your life?
I mean, they're very supportive, but they also, worry at times, hey, maybe this is taking too long, maybe you should look into some other things, maybe have a plan B. But, for people like us, creatives and other creatives that are out there, this is the plan B. You just got to like pivot and shuffle and see how things could work in another way. Maybe it might not work how you originally thought it would work, but maybe it can work some other way. You might meet other people. You might find different situations to make your dream and your goals work and your aspirations. So, I mean, you just got to keep on going no matter how long it takes. You know, things don't happen overnight. If it does happen overnight, that's a blessing. But if it doesn't, you know, you got to keep on trucking. That's all you can do.
And Matt does a lot of social media and does, you know, he's got a pretty decent work ethic. And I think that, you know, consistency is a big deal. You know, when you get in that studio and you want to sing a song, what is that thought process of how do I record a song?
A lot of people have different ways of doing that. A lot of people writing a song and is first, and you got to write the hook, the chorus. It doesn't matter. Whatever comes to you first, you got to, you know, get that song formatting down. You got to get everything that you want on paper and something that fits you and your vibe. It could be hip hop. It could be like a feel good vibe. It could be like a high energy EDM. It could be anything. You just got to know what your niche is, and you got to know what you want out of the music and then go for it. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, songwriting is key. Songwriting is key. Formatting is key. Having a catchy hook, having good words that resonate with others that might be like yourself. That's how you record a song, and then you just hit the studio.
I'm anxious to see what happens tomorrow. We're going to the studio tomorrow and laying down the track. You know, I've been in comedy for 10 years. I've had a few music acts. We've produced some music. Yeah. And I do everything by feel. So right. You may not expect what you hear. It comes out of the studio. I'm excited to see what we can produce and what we can put out to the world when you record music with other people, with other producers, with other engineers and so forth. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And I appreciate Matt giving me an opportunity to kind of craft and kind of reverse engineer things where I take, you know, an outline, help people with timing, and we'll see what happens. But it's all about the feel and spirituality. And, you know, outside looking in, when me and you hooked up and I had this spirituality thing going on, what'd you think about that?
Well, I mean, I come from a spiritual background. You know, my dad is very spiritual. My mom prays every day. My aunt was in Seventh-day Adventist kind of vibes. And I went to all boys Catholic high school. I've been to the Vatican, all over the world. I'm into spirituality, and I know what it is. And I know the vibes of healing, light, and all of those things. I mean, I didn't find it weird. I found it very intriguing, and I like the blend that you bring to the table, bro, because there's not a lot of people in the music industry, unless you're into gospel music, that bring that element. So I found it pretty cool.
Well, cool. Well, if people wanted to find you, how do we find Matt? How do we go follow Matt and see how this story turns out?
So you can follow me on Instagram at MatthewJMusic, and you can follow me on TikTok at Matthew Johnson, and Spotify at Matthew Johnson, Facebook at Matthew Johnson, and you can look me up on my website at www.matthewjmusic.com.
This has been John Edmonds Kozma, CEO of Bang Productions, owner of the TikTok Live Creator Network Agency, and host of the Unimpressed Podcast. We'll see you next time.